One. What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? A2HH live on a Monday afternoon. Myself, Mike D on this side. We got Coop over here. How we doing, sir? Yeah, man. It's been
Always working.
always working. It's been a week. We had a great interview yesterday.
We did.
You guys are gonna see it pretty soon with the great brother Nick Love. We talked everything, man. We talked a lot of Atlanta hip hop. We talked a lot of hip hop in general. We talked the business. It should be great. You guys are gonna check it out. Y'all gonna see it real soon, probably in the next day or so. What are some of the things you took from the interview?
I loved his honesty.
Yeah,
His honesty and just the candor with which he would speak about the situations freely. That's like as a journalist and an interviewer, that's your dream is to have somebody really tell you how they feel and what they think and
yeah,
even admit their biases. Like when we were having the whole trap music TM 101 thing, which people will see. No, he was like, no, he's like, I'm biased.
yeah, yeah,
It's like straight up. And he's like, and I'm biased and why? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's refreshing when you get somebody like that. And then
yeah.
then he stayed and kicked it with us and stuff and it was like, no, it's like, you see why he is who he is and why he moves the way that he moves and
Yeah.
his rationale. He has a rationale for everything. He has an understanding and an agility for men in this business in our age bracket that I find to be very refreshing. It was
Right.
it was it was a good time.
Yeah, yeah. Y'all will probably learn a whole lot. And that was like the first, I think that's the first, not live, but you know what I'm saying, the first interview that you and I have done in the same place
Yeah,
at the same time. Because it's
correct.
usually like I'm interviewing somebody individually, you're interviewing somebody individually.
Right.
I know we've done the Love the Genius interview, but that was more of a satellite situation
Right.
where it was like I was at home, you were at the crib, and
Yeah.
she jumped in. I think
It's
we did the same thing with Mickey Fax too.
correct. And speaking of which, we do have Love the Genius confirmed for this Wednesday at 6:30, so people need to be tuning in for that too. I'm really excited to talk to her
Yeah,
again. Yeah.
definitely.
I didn't even realize like how good of a look she really gave us early on. You
Hmm.
know, like I think
I realized.
although I didn't. I was about to say I think everybody knows I can be a little cocky sometimes, and I'm looking back on it now and I'm like, oh man, we ain't have shit, and we ain't have no reason for her to even want to step So I'm looking forward for the opportunity to actually like interview her live in the studio the way she deserves to be interviewed that way. You feel me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
circling back in that sense. Of course, what was I gonna say? Of course, skis. Like, him coming through, that was a great look too. And the fact that we were able to get an interview with him on a year where he dropped, such a prolific effort. I want to get Sky Zoo in here too. I mean,
I was
all of the
thinking
people
about
who
that.
are album of the year candidates, I think that we should get them in here to some way, shape, or form. I think we can. You know what I'm saying? Like, who do you guys think has the album of the year so far? And I'm sure anybody that we
What about
have in the
Ransom?
chat, yeah, we gotta connect with Ransom because a
Yeah.
lot of his fan base feels like we sleep on him, don't mention him, and this and that. And I would love to talk to Ransom because I love the work that he's putting in. Same thing with what's the name over there, Griselda. You know what I'm talking about? Um,
Armani?
no, not Armani.
Che?
Shay, yeah, Shay Noir. We got to get Shay Noir in here too.
That's what I'm saying. I'm down. Like I'm game with it. We're young, we're pretty, we hit hard.
People are saying that Ransom got album of the year. Shout out to everybody in the chat.
That's
Thumbs
why I
up in the
brought up
chat.
Ransom because I know a lot of our following feels like he has album of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we spoke with Nick Love about some of the topics that you and I cover as far as like on a mainstream level. Like, what does a hit look like in today's.
Well, that was the last thing too. And let me just say this, and not to interrupt you. That interview with him happened so organically. Like he answered almost all of my questions after I asked the first two that were
Hmm.
on my question list without me having to ask him.
That's how it goes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
up. I was like, nope, he's gonna touch on the whole Jason McPhee thing. It's like, oh, nope, he gonna bring up Coalition DJ. I was like, I was like, yep. I was like, okay. I'm like, this the shit. I'm like, this is like what you want out of somebody that you're interviewing. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah, you
I
just
can't
get
wait for people to
talking
see.
points and you know what I'm saying, you kind of just flow with
Yeah,
the conversation at
yeah.
that point. But yeah, it was a great conversation. I mean, today I know we have in our title says Nas released a new music video for Black Magic. I seen that Nas has released a couple of videos off of Magic too. What did you think about the video and I guess the direction for it and everything that we saw?
It was cool. It was good. I wasn't like awed by it. It wasn't a great video, in my opinion. It was solid.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the thing. It's like we're skewed. You know,
Hmm.
we grew up in a video era
Yeah, yeah.
with big video budgets.
We had that video conversation yesterday too.
I know I didn't even want to go to that because that's what I mean about the talking points of the interview. It's like, well, we had
Hmm.
the video talk with Nick yesterday, and I was thinking even when we were talking with him. Remember when the Triumph video was $1 million?
Yeah.
That'll never
That would
happen
never
again.
happen again. It
That'll
doesn't make
never
sense.
happen again.
It
You have
doesn't
to
make sense.
rationalize that business decision.
Exactly. Armand with the super chat says, "Peace. Which is the better series, Blueprint or the King's Disease? The Blueprint series has not aged well." Well, it does have that first Blueprint to kind of hang its hat on.
Well, if it hasn't aged well, why are we having the conversation?
Right.
Just asking questions.
No, 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 no. I mean, it's
Just asking
yeah.
questions.
I mean, because honestly, they came so spaced out too. It's like it's not really a fair comparison.
I don't even mind the space, but when I mean, first of all, the Blueprint is better than all of these recent
Yeah,
Nas albums. I think we're
yeah.
all clear on that. But after that, it's like, okay.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Like the King's Disease series happened in such a short period of time. It's like it's a rhythm that you're in.
Bang, bang.
Yeah. Whereas the Blueprint series that happened in a 8-9 year span, right? Yeah.
Yes.
01 to 09.
Yeah,
So
01,
yeah.
09. Yeah.
Um,
But there's nothing wrong with that. That's a little
Yeah.
that's 2.5 years. That's like, that used to be like the regular motion.
Exactly. CJ Kid with the super chat says, "Turn up the mics on both to the max level. You guys are low."
Copy that.
What our mics sound like? What our mics sound like?
Yep.
Or maybe people need to turn up stuff on their end, But yeah. As far as the album of the year stuff, and I mean, I think that we got a handful. This has been a very different year, and I feel
agree.
like it's kind of slim pickings in a sense. Not saying that there isn't a lot of great music out, but there are the few out there who are doing a great job, and I think that those few we can kind of, have a conversation with on this show. So I look forward to Love on Wednesday. That's gonna be dope. Well, Love the Genius, that is. We had Nick Love yesterday. Like I said, y'all are gonna see that. We
Yeah.
had
And we had Love,
Love
Jesse.
Jesse.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
have we're gonna be dropping all the Love interviews. Probably. I mean, what's good with the producers? I think
probably the next couple of days.
Yeah. Next
Where's
couple
the
days.
love?
Yeah.
Let's talk. Oh, you know what? I'm skipping around because I think that I did want to say something about, I guess, this Magic 2
Yeah.
and the Black Magic video. I think what Nas and Hit-Boy did, they've kind of changed the course of what we thought Magic was supposed to be after the first Magic that we heard. And I think that they've made it a series with changing course with part 2. You know what I mean? Magic doesn't become a series of its own if they do the same thing that they did on Magic 1. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That so when I say this album is more consistent with the actual theme of the word. So it's like as an artist, I mean, Mike, and you know this, you freestyle a lot when you're in the studio. You flow and think freely about things. Certain words will resonate, but they'll start to resonate differently as the time as you kind of like playing out your scheme. And so what kind of started off with simplicity is like, oh, well, Hit Boy and Nas are making what? Magic. It's like,
Right.
no, they're kind of doubling down on it. It's like, well, let's unpack that further. That's what dope ass artists do.
No, you're right. And for the people that are watching, you're seeing clips from the music video if you hadn't seen it yet. Max with the super chat says KD3 at number 1, Magic at 2, KD2 at number 3, Magic 2 at 4, and KD 1 in that order. I don't dispute that order. I think the production on Magic 2, I think the production on Magic 2 is right up there with KD3, in my opinion.
The product. I
The
don't know.
versatility in the production.
I don't. The high points, yes. I'm not gonna say that certainly because I don't. I don't love the Irvin Magic Johnson beat,
Yeah.
and I feel like that all the beats on KD3 are better than that beat.
Okay.
And so not by a lot, but about a song.
I think KD3 is the one production wise, but I'm talking about outside of that album. Because I know you're really big on the first Magic's
It's a
production.
great beat tape. The first Magic's a great beat tape. Like 40, like if you're an MC, there are beats on there that you really want to rap to.
Right.
Like 4016 is some shit you should want to rap to. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Meet Joe Black, some shit you should want to rap to. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like I don't know if Magic 2 has that about its versatility, but the overall sonics and production job, yes, you could probably say after KD3. But also too, when I think about production, I do think about how the album kind of flows,
Right.
and the flow of KD2 is lovely. Like KD2 for me has the best flow of songs in terms of how the songs are orchestrated. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's really really wavy to me. You know what I mean? So it's like it depends on the perspective that you're looking at it from.
Dot with the super chat says, "What do y'all think Nas meant when he said hip hop's back on Office Hours?" I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory,
I
right?
mean, you know, I love Office Hours because it's him on his rap shit. So when he's saying like hip hop is back, he's saying like I represent and embody that.
You know, we had our conversation yesterday. I was thinking about artists connecting, and you guys will pretty much know what I'm talking about more so when you see the interview aired. But I think there was one thing that I wanted to speak to that I might not have gotten the opportunity to speak to. We talk about lyricists of this era, and it feels like the lyricists of this era get thrown in a certain pocket, and we don't have the mainstream people in hip hop who are doing everything. And when I say everything, I mean, kind of like, let's just say Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick, where you're actually selling records, you spitting quotables, you got hit records. And it's like, who's the last person to do that from a mainstream perspective? And when you have somebody like a JID, they almost feel like, they're being slept on, as opposed to an album like The Forever Story in a certain era. That would be the album talked about in that year. You know what I mean? Because he kind of did all the things. He gave
Correct.
you records that could, been played on radio. He gave you a full conceptual album. He gave you bars. And it's like, is there any future in bars anymore? And would young MCs really aspire to that? Because it doesn't seem like those are the success stories from a mainstream level.
You know, it's crazy. I got up on IG briefly this morning for maybe like 5 minutes, and Lotto just like did like this thing where she just kind of like came out to some music, did her little bop, did her little dance, and I'm thinking like, oh, you didn't have to do that back in. You know, what I mean, you have to do that now. Part of why
Yeah.
she's popping ain't really got nothing to do with the music. It's the whole vibe she's giving off, and I'm like, oh yeah, little girls want to be her.
Yeah.
They want to do that. They want to be big like that, and they want to show it off the way she's showing it off. And she knows that. Her team knows that. It's working. That's how it works now.
Right.
Yeah, that's just how it works now. It
Hmm.
has to be all the things. And what happens when you have to do all the things as an artist? And really, like this has really happened to the artists because of the greed of the music executives. Like I want to make this clear because what the music executives essentially started doing was funneling into the ways the artists were making money without the fucking label.
Right.
And so now it really forces an artist that wants to get in. It's like, well, they're making you jump through so many hoops to make it, but they made it that way with their greed. As soon as they started getting into artist show money, it was a wrap.
Well, I think that happened because, the lack of physical, albums being sold. I think the digital era actually took us there because, again, I think it was Yo Gotti who said this in a recent interview. They asked him about a 360 deal, and he's saying that, basically, if I have to put in a certain amount of money to get you up to a certain level, do I not deserve anything back from that? I mean, that's fair. If
It
if
is.
you, if Yo Gotti runs into you outside and you're not selling any merch for real, you're not getting paid for shows like that for real, and him and his team get behind you, do what's necessary, and then you get to 50,000 a show. You selling all kind of merch. Is he not supposed to get any of that?
Well, it was almost like a separation of church and state that
Yeah,
used to exist, where it's like, well, the label was in on your recording budget. They were in on your video budget. They were even in on your lifestyle budget. You want a house? You want a car? You want some jewelry? You want some girls? Put it in the budget. But you used to be able to go get your show money, Mike.
that's because they were able to quantify that by record sales, and they would say, you know what,
No,
we're going to get our money back from record
but
sales.
even when you have, see, this is part of why I love the Roots. It's like, oh well, the Roots realize it's like, oh well, we're not about to be this big multi-platinum selling band in the States. Let's take this show on the road overseas.
Yeah,
And go get that money. And so when the labels got in on, see, that's the thing. It used to be you didn't have to be big to still do it big because you had your show money. So you could go source out and seek your following and go get all the money that way and just pay your team, your
right.
people. You know what I'm saying? That ain't label shit unless the label hired the manager, the road manager. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
I wonder how that even worked back in the day, because I mean, I would imagine that club dates and walkthroughs and things like that are kind of still something between the artist and the promoter, right? But I don't know. Even big concerts and like Smoke and Groove tours and things like that, you would have to think that the label has something to do with some of those things as well. But again, I was listening to Leo Cohen. I think when he was on the Breakfast Club, he was obviously he tries to turn artists away from doing those club dates. Um, but again, that's probably because they're not being cut in on it as much as they think that they may, and that needs to be accounted for. I guess if you're in a 360 deal, right, or if you're in a situation where the label is getting paid from your show money, are you supposed to really be going out there doing club dates? Or is that something that, if they catch you doing, then they're going to have a handout like, what's up?
These artists ain't got no nuts, Mike. It's like, go get your money, like any way that you can. Like, unfortunately, the music business is kind of like, boxing. It really is kind of unregulated, Mike.
Yeah.
There's no union.
I mean, it's kind of built on those same principles.
There's no guaranteed contracts.
Right.
There's no franchises that, like, take care of their core players past their prime. Like, no, that shit's not happening in here.
Mm.
So it's like, the mindset of the artist need to be approaching it in a manner.
What do the artists do, though, if they're in these deals? If the artist is in these deals, and these deals,
Get your weight up and get out.
How do you get out of the deals?
I mean, fulfill them contractually.
Yeah.
Record at beneficent speeds. You know what I'm saying?
But see, they
Across the
actually,
universe.
they're also the people who tell you what can come out. That was the whole thing with Megan and her labels. Like, they were suppressing some of the material. But I guess you just got to be in demand like that.
That's what I mean. You have to make all the things work.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it so hard now. It's like, no, you're signed. Man, you're more of a slave now than you ever been.
Yeah.
Because you have to sign up to do so many things to get it to pop so that they will continuously put your stuff out so you can fulfill the obligation so that you can get out and do it yourself and take in the whole, the whole piece instead of just a fraction.
Jay Short with the Super Chat says, I think it's ridiculous that we still have major labels in hip-hop. I blame the fans for that because we don't support artists, unless the media promotes it. I mean, I think that's just a trained mentality. We feel like if this artist is not on a certain television program or whatever, then they're not doing it big. Like Travis, you couldn't escape his album. You knew Utopia was coming out. The marketing for it was everywhere. The visuals were everywhere. And that's really not the landscape that we're in anymore. And I hate that we're in that landscape because it kind of veers off the excitement. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes it, you remember when you used to be excited for a release?
I mean, I still get excited, but that's about the artist.
No, we still get excited because we're paying attention. I'm just saying, like from
What?
a pedestrian level, where
Oh, just
there
like
used to be. You remember
something's
like a
coming out.
build up
Yeah,
for like, I mean, we could say Get Rich or Die Trying. I know that's a major case, but
it's the
even
case
with
study. It's
yeah,
the case study.
but even with Dr. Dre's 2001, the way that was being built up and that momentum, I missed that. And and if we do have labels in place, that's what it needs to be for specifically, you know. Um, but everybody's not gonna get that look. I remember even when Outkast came out with Akumina, there was anticipation in the city because it was another Outkast album. But I can't say from a mainstream perspective that it was that same energy. You know what I mean?
Th- See, that's the thing. Because of how things are designed, like you said, that'll never happen again. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
videos were a big part of that too.
Well, I mean,
We're going on this long tangent to talk about music videos.
I don't want to see. I don't want to give away too much of the Nick Love interview, but even when he was talking about Jeezy's marketing campaign and how they marketed it, and it
Yeah.
was like, and he was explaining how it happened, it was like, it's like, yeah, it's gonna be hard to replicate that in today's age. You know what I'm saying?
It is. But I do think that there is a way. One of the big things that we talked about was the fact that artists are kind of influencers now. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just about, look at the Suki Hanas of the world, right?
Right.
She's more of a internet personality than an artist. People who know this person as a personality or individual, they don't know her music like that. I couldn't tell you a Suki Hana song, and I say that respectfully. I'm just being honest.
No,
But I know who she is.
there's so many artists like that floating out right now, Mike, that it's
Yeah.
actually absurd to me. You know what I mean?
Well, they're more
in the sense that it's
influencers than artists.
correct. That is the word.
Mad Max with the super chat says majors are necessary because of marketing to generate the hype of a fan base. You need more than word of mouth praise. You can't go global without a label. Huh.
Yes, you can.
Well, do you disagree with
global?
Mad Max on that?
Well, who's going global actually? Like what? Adele?
Yeah, Mad Max. I want to know, like, who are you speaking about?
Who's
You speaking
global?
about the Drakes? You speaking about the Kendricks? I want to talk about people who've come out over the past, let's just say, 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at somebody like, I guess, Benny, right?
You want to know what's crazy is that he has one gold plaque,
Yeah, but that's with
But-
J. Cole.
but it's worth so much more now. I actually realize that it's like I'm coming to the realization it's like it's so much actually harder to go gold and platinum now than it used to be because you don't know where your following is.
True. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, "This is an interesting phenomenon that only occurs in hip hop. And rock, pop, and EDM music culture has shifted that independent artists are getting more play now by not being signed to major labels." 36 Chambers also said, excluding Beyonce and Taylor Swift, of course. Okay. Well, I think where hip hop may have messed up somewhere down the line is the fact that we talked about numbers in ways that other genres don't. I know we like to always talk about hip hop is this and that, and they don't do this in rock, they don't do this in pop. Well, hip hop does a lot of things that other genres don't do. And in pop records, Britney Spears never talked about the numbers she was selling. NSYNC never talked about selling 1 million records in a day. They did that. But in hip hop, you're gonna get those kind of bars. And so I think when we have put a focus on that number, now it's kind of come back to bite hip hop when you're not doing the numbers. You know what I mean?
See, okay, so I'm not sure how on board I am with that, and here's why. Our early classics that we hold dear,
Mm-hmm.
most of them are not big sellers.
Yep.
Paid in Full is not some sort of monstrous seller. The Greatest Adventures of Slick Rick is not a monstrous seller.
I don't know what the low end theory.
Criminal Minded.
Yeah.
I think I mean, truthfully, I think the West has a lot to do with the numbers game because I think the numbers game became something when NWA did numbers. It's like because they came out the gate with Straight Outta Compton. And it
But
was
did
like
they ever really talk about it though?
I think it was just kind of like a thing that made the conversation occur because it's like, well, the East Coast guys weren't selling like that.
I look at Bad Boy. We always talk about Biggie bringing the East Coast back,
Here we go with
but
that.
that's just based on the competitiveness of the East Coast and how well the West Coast was doing. And I think that Biggie started talking about the numbers. Pac too, but it was in reference to Biggie. You know what I'm saying? And Death Row was doing astronomical numbers and
Agreed.
not being shy about it. Now you had Ice Cube saying stuff like "I'm platinum, bitch," and I didn't have to sell out.
But think about it. So NWA going multi-platinum, Ice Cube going platinum, multi-platinum, Dre multi, Tupac multi, Snoop multi. The conversation exists because the West existed with
You're
it.
right.
Yeah, it wasn't a conversation until then. It was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you weren't the Beastie Boys or Run DMC, like, what was you selling? Like,
Well, is it
even
fair to say
even LL's best selling album is what, Double?
I don't know. We need to do some research.
And
on
LL
the
got a
LL
lot of
thing.
platinum and a lot of
Yeah,
gold.
because LL's a very, very successful artist.
Yeah, I'm not
and we
saying that
need
he's
to-
not.
No. We just need to get the numbers correct on him because we've talked about
But is
this
he
on the
doing
show
chronic
before.
numbers? You know what I'm saying? Is
I don't
LL
know.
doing chronic numbers?
I don't know. I don't
doing doggy
think
style
so.
numbers? Right.
I don't think so,
Right.
but I don't know the exact number.
Like radio didn't do like 4 or 5 mil out the gate, Mike. You know what I'm saying? It didn't.
well, with that being said,
License to Ill did like 3 mil if memory serves. That's what I'm saying. It's like if you wasn't Beasties or Run DMC, it's like you wasn't going multi from the East Coast.
Mad Max to the super chat says, Benny's not global though. J. Cole is global, Drake is global, Riri is global. Independent artists can get rich and have a great career without labels. You can't be a household name without one. Your mom don't know who Benny is, but she know who Drake is. Okay,
Fair.
well, yeah. I mean, if it's about the fame and all of that stuff, then yes, fair.
It's the best thing you've said in a while, Mad Max.
Jay
Shout
Short
out
with
to you.
another super chat
Getting your
says,
life together.
if Nas mirrored Prince and out of all of his content, out all of his content on a $7.99 monthly subscription, would the fans support it?
I think it's a fascinating question,
I think that is a fascinating question.
but I really don't have any concrete answers for you at this current time.
Well, I think that's why a lot of artists do assimilate with the streaming platforms because they don't feel confident enough that if they built something for their fans in that way, that they would support it in a way that they should.
Right. I agree.
And I'm not going to be a hypocrite here. I think in some sort of way, this is what Black Star attempted to do, right? And people supported it. But it didn't turn out the way that it should have in the long run. I don't know why, but I don't know if that was part of the plan or if a plan went awry. But putting it on your own platform, a subscription base with music just doesn't work, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would have to just sell the music outright. Does that make sense?
I mean, first of all, I want to be very clear, and I'm going to keep on reminding you this. There's no artist that raps that's like Prince or Michael Jackson. Although I hear what you're saying. Yeah, Prince can do that because he's Prince. There's not a rapper like that, Mike. Maybe Tupac. Maybe.
So you think
So
that
it's
if
not
Prince
even-
put out a subscription-based platform, $7.99, you get all of his music, you think that the fans would tap in?
Yes, because it's Prince.
Okay.
Michael Jackson. Stevie Wonder.
So there's nobody in hip-hop who has
Rolling
that
Stones,
kind of fan
yeah.
base.
Tupac. Like Eminem, Mike. Actually.
Okay.
Eminem.
I think that's fair.
Eminem, Drake, Tupac, Jay.
I don't know if Jay's fans would.
Not totally sold on that because they got old school sensibilities. Like even Jay's Jay's fans, even Jay's older fans, like Jay
Hip-hop fans are fickle.
Jay appeals to a get money crowd though. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying that about Jay.
And they'll go out and support him.
Correct. And the support of the wealthy is, like double, triple. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I will say that about Jay. Yeah.
Anime Bros podcast says Tidal was supposed to um, to a degree, I guess. I guess he's saying title was supposed to be that to a degree. Mad Max with the super chat says, but if labels have issues with promoting stars because of the internet has messed everything up. Oh, sorry about that. Internet has messed everything up. We are in an era of cult fan bases, so independent artists can get more love than before. I think that the independent artists that fit into that zone, I think that they're eating very well and they're very consistent, and that's why they're able to consistently reach out to their fan base through music, through anything else. But like you said, they're probably not going to be a household name, but that's okay. I mean, is it important to be a household name in hip hop anymore? And is hip hop a star league anymore?
See, that's the thing about it. You're saying in hip hop. So in
Yeah.
hip hop, the answer is no, because the way the business is set up now, there's so many other pieces of yourself that belong to the people that have nothing to do with the music. You feel
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's like the music doesn't matter as much because the record labels made it that way for these artists. And so, and we've watched it take place even doing this podcast. It's like I've had to accept some things and be like, well, our favorite artist, Mike, that we grew up on, they spent so much more time in the studio
Yeah.
recording music and working on building in their craft in this crop and generation of today's artists because they had to. It's
Right.
what came with it. What comes with the kit now is different, and so is the behavior, and so is the quality of music, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, did you listen to Quavo's new album?
I haven't, but I will.
Mad Max to the super chat
you-
says the labels need a Jay-Z type of artist, someone who is witty and have enough cool factor to be a superstar. If not, they're just gonna keep whoring Drake, Dot, and Cole. I think that's an interesting statement. I want to expound upon.
Do you think Kendrick's people will do you think Kendrick belongs in that stratosphere of subscription?
Nah, I don't think so.
What about Wayne?
No, I think the type of fan that they have. I mean, they got diehard fans, but I think that these fans are so indoctrinated in being able to stream everything that I don't think that they would sit there and just totally dedicate, one subscription to one artist. Because what the subscription based model and what the streaming model has done for us, done to us, is made it where we like the randomness of everything. We like the variety. It's kind of like when we used to burn CDs back in the day and just put a bunch of different songs on it, like the whole playlist mentality. I think the whole playlist mentality has kind of taken away from the album structure in music as well. Like I was listening to College Dropout the other day and just hearing how the skits lined up with the songs and how everything built upon each other. It's like we're really not going to get that much anymore because people aren't sitting there listening to one album from beginning to end unless it's like 7 or 9 songs. That they'll give it a chance on.
Fair.
And so you said one thing, and I know we disagree with the whole, the way albums and songs are in this era to a certain extent. But you're right about one thing: albums make superstars.
They do. Period.
It does.
Period.
I mean, Thriller took Michael Jackson to that other level. It was the album that did that. It wasn't just the fact that he had a couple of good songs. He had PYT on there. He had Billie Jean. He had Beat It. He had Wanna Be Starting Something on there. He had Human Nature. This is all on one album. That makes you a superstar.
Our best rap artists, Mike, the ones that are most renowned, they all do have really great albums.
50's out here selling out tours 20 years later because of this album right here.
That's what I'm saying.
No, you know what I'm saying? It's not one song. It ain't just in the club that did that. It's that album.
Right. Well, that's why I tell you, it's like, no, Mike, the Marshall Mathers LP and the Eminem show, it's like, no, those albums are great. They're not good. They're great. They're great. Great.
I think the Eminem
that's
show
what comes,
make a case for that.
That's what comes with it. There's a reason, like, because
he's a different case.
No, because here's the case. When it's time to talk about him and people make their case, they're always like, hey, right there. It's like, and you can make a case. You have to have that. It comes with it, even if you're him, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
No, Drake got, if you're not reading this, it's too late. He got Take Care. No, 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 that's great.
Drake does have Take Care, and I like if you're reading this, it's too late, but his fan base would look at So Far Gone. They would bring up Take Care.
I like
They
So
would
Far
bring
Gone
up
too. Yes, it's great.
Nothing Was the Same. These are collections of work. You need that. And when I listen to Quavo's album, um, I need to go back and listen again, but I think it's better than his first solo album.
I'm about to say, I know you listened. I wanted your thoughts. What do you?
I
What
listen.
did you
I mean,
think?
I think it's better than his first solo album, but I still feel like
Where the
it's
bangers
not.
at? Where the bangers at?
I feel like he's the guy who needs a group. He's very Method Man-ish in that way to
Who,
me.
Quavo?
Whereas like when he's in a collective, he's a standout, but when he's alone, it feels like something's missing. Shoot, and even with the Method Man comparison again, when him and Travis are together, and Travis is Redman in this, where Travis can go out there and make albums by himself and feel complete. And so yeah,
Right.
Quavo, it just feels like somebody's missing, and then the record with Takeoff on it, it's like, okay, well this feels complete. Takeoff's actually going in on that. It's hard to listen to Takeoff now. Jay Short with the super chat says, "Who cares about being global and a household name? That's why we don't own and control anything. Attention is not an economic blueprint." Well said. Wow. Okay.
All right.
Mad Max with the super chat says, "Mike, you may not like this, but Quavo got album of the year. He did everything we asked from an artist." Okay. So Mad Max is saying this album of the year.
That's how I know that it's not, but it makes me want to listen and give it some respect.
I'm gonna go listen to it again.
Mad Max be hitting that like a 2 for 10 clip, Mike. But 20% free throw shooters don't really get a lot of credit. But
again, I think the album's a little
matter.
bit too long, and I think that the Travis album is a little bit too long too. We're at a time now where the independent guys, or pseudo independent guys, shall I say,
Pseudo sounds better,
are outperforming the mainstream guys, and I don't think we've ever really seen that. I think that before it's been one of those, based on what your taste is, but since 2020, it feels like the independent guys or pseudo independent guys are blowing the mainstream guys out the water.
Good.
I like it, but does it not feel slightly unbalanced in that facet too? Or does the mainstream need to start giving some of the more independent guys some more run? Or is that ever going to happen? Because we're 3 years in. We're 3 years in, we thought that radio or whoever would still start picking up on guys who are independent, even some of our legends. They go independent. KRS-One, guys like that. Everybody's out here celebrating Hip Hop 50, but what about KRS's most recent album?
Well, you see, here's the thing. His following is going to follow that and appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if KRS is the best case study because he's one of our, rare acts that it's like, well, shit might be better live.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of very few rap artists can say that. It's like, I'm actually better live than I am on record. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if he's the accurate case study for that.
Aral with the super chat says, even back in the day, we used to take all the trash songs off of the DJ Clue mixtape and call it hot-ish.
Well, you know what I used to do? I mean, I remember this, Mike, when I used to dub my tapes. It's like I would take my favorite songs from all the albums and put them on one tape.
I would do that too.
So I had like a couple songs from Strictly for My Niggas, a couple songs from Enter the Wu-Tang, a couple songs from Illmatic, a couple songs from Ready to Die, a couple songs from Southern Playlist, a couple songs from Funknified.
Right.
And I'd mash them up and take my favorite shit, and that would be my tape.
But see, that's the thing.
And that's what streaming is now, Mike.
It is what streaming is, but we were doing that from a consumer standpoint, whereas the artist wasn't looking at it like that's what we were about to do. The artists were thinking like, I need to make an album that they can play from beginning to end. You know what I'm saying? Whereas now I would imagine that the approach is like, well, I got to get on this playlist. I got to make something for this playlist. I got to do something for that playlist. Similar like what the game did for Drillmatic. where it was like that album felt like he just made a bunch of different stuff that would fit on a bunch of different playlists. You know what I'm saying?
There's not necessarily anything wrong
No,
with
no,
that,
no. It's just a different way of approaching
but
an
you have
album
to
now.
but you have to connect.
Yeah,
You still have to connect. The connectivity still matters.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mad Max with the super chat says, "Bro, hold me fire, click with Future. I'm sorry, hold me fire, click with Future. It's fire, fuel up, and it's fire. We asked for introspection. He said we did that while doing his thing. I guess he means Quavo did that while doing this thing. Ohio K with the super chat says, I think that we need to revisit that Black Thought project, especially the second half. Okay.
Okay. I haven't touched the thought in a minute. I think that's worth. I think we've I think we should give some albums another spin again because a lot of people love the thought. I just didn't. I mean, it's like after hearing cheat codes, I'm just like, no, let's step down.
There's a standard.
It's a step down.
I think what's happened
Because now you have a standard as a solo artist. This ain't no root shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, no. I expect the Black Thought project to officially sound a certain way after cheat codes. I'm not even saying it has to be. I'm not saying you have to make Illadelph. I'm not saying you have to make Do You Want More or Things Fall Apart. Actually, I am asking you to make something better than Do You Want More. Things Fall Apart and Illadelph might be too much to ask, so I'm not asking that. But after cheat codes, it's like, yeah, I'm asking that.
Well,
I want to hear No Gold Teeth again, Aquamarine, not those songs, but it's like, no, I want to hear you on that level as a solo artist. Yes.
Black Thought is he's in a situation that many of his peers aren't in, where he's better than he ever was on the mic, right?
Correct.
I think everybody can,
Correct.
And then the fact that his catalog is largely based on the roots, it's like, okay, we understand that was a group that you were in. Now you're by yourself, so sky's the limit. Nobody's sitting here looking like, yo, we want something like the roots. We want something like Things Fall Apart. We understand that that was a roots project. Now, do you? He kind of has a clean slate as an OG, and that's an advantage that not many of his peers have. When we hear Method Man go out there, we're thinking about Takal. You know what I'm saying? We're thinking about things that he's done as a solo artist before. Well, with Black Thought, he has a clean slate.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's like, well, we got 3 warm-up EPs from him.
Yeah.
And then we got a full-length project. The full-length project, it stepped on all 3 of those EPs. Standard now.
Yeah.
Now standard. Like for you as a solo artist, now a standard. As in, like, now officially, because we're in this space with you, all that sitting down and freestyling stuff on the radio, like, it's like, oh, no, I already know that. We already know what time it is. No, for real.
Yeah,
we already know what time it is with that. Everybody
Yeah.
been knowing what time it is. Don't nobody want to sit next to him and kick no rhymes, Mike.
You're right.
Now back to this album shit.
Justin Jones with the super chat says, thoughts on Ebro's tweet about labels not looking to rap acts anymore. Listen, I think that's propaganda, And shout out to Ebro. I get what he's trying to do. I think he's trying to get rappers to dare to be different and, kind of change the climate a little bit. Truth of the matter is, everybody follows hip-hop. And whatever hip-hop leads the way to do, all the other genres are going to follow. There's not going to be a point where Afro beats is running the yard. You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody feels Afro beats in their heart and soul like that. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
And so, to me, it feels like the Afro beats thing is kind of like, when Sean Paul came around in the early 2000s. It was just something that's going on at the time. Wayne Wonder, even with Petra and Shabba Ranks in the 90s and
Capleton.
stuff. Yeah, it's like, it comes and goes. They're having a good time right now, great. But to make it seem like it's just going to take over hip-hop, I just don't
Beanie
think
Man.
there's enough stake in the game to do that. Yeah, Elephant Man. Like, we've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
If you've lived through this, you've seen this happen like 3 or 4 times.
We've even watched the international guys come and, like, get some of the U.S. pub taken away from some of the R&B artists here. Craig David, Mark Morrison, Seal.
Exactly. Craig David was very talented, by the way. I think he was Drake before Drake.
Terrence Trent D'Arby, and he from
yeah,
all these guys.
Yeah, it happens. It's just another.
It's part of it.
Yeah, and so, and then when you also have somebody like Burna Boy who's using, I guess American music and flipping it to have hits over here. It's like,
Mm.
well, yeah, that's not somebody across the pond taking over. You're just kind of adapting, and you're gonna continue to adapt. Hip hop doesn't really adapt per se; it kind of just set the trends. And I
Definitely
mean,
the trendsetters.
yeah, and so I don't know. I guess that's just Ebro's trying to get hip hop in the right direction or get people to be leaders in a sense. But nah, I don't think there's any validity to
Yeah,
what he's
I don't
saying.
necessarily prescribe to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like we're not always right. None of us that do this are always right. So it's
yeah,
like, yeah, I'm not like the biggest fan of it because I don't totally agree with it as well.
yeah. I mean, my projections are just based on history, and
History is a foreteller to the future.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Jay Short with the super chat says, I was gonna say giving Quavo album of the year would be like giving Steve Nash the MVP, but I don't want to disrespect Steve Nash. 007 with the super
Uh,
chat says, y'all saw Irv Gotti on Drink Champs interview. Irv said Jigga told him that he gave the game all he had. Looks like he's done. I really hope to hear him next summer. Hopefully he changes his mind. I didn't hear that. Irv says a lot. I don't think Irv would, you know, say anything false on Jay's behalf, but yeah, if Jay felt like he gave the game everything he had, he has. I mean, he's done a lot. It is what it is. I mean, what
I
what
told you I
else do
was
you
okay.
want from
I
me?
told you I was okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, he's given the game as much as he can give it. I mean, I don't know what to hear next from Jay or what we could hear next from Jay.
I told you I would like to hear him do like. Let's not even use Nas and Hit Boy
Mm-hmm.
has has the template since we were just talking Black Thought. Let's go use Black Thought and Danger Mouse as a template. Like go find you somebody and make some dope shit.
He did
Let's
that with no ID though.
like Freddie Gibbs has done this with Madlib and with Alchemist now. You know what I'm saying?
This is all I say, and I know it's tough for somebody like Jay, just like it was tough for Michael Jackson. Have fun, you know.
Nah, I ain't gonna say that.
Just go out there and have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like have fun with the music. Don't think too hard about it. If that's what you want to do. If you don't want to do it, then you don't want to do it. But just
I
have fun with the
I
music.
like Jay when he has a little bit of a chip, so I'm not with that. Like I don't want to
Yeah.
hear Happy Jay. Like that ain't favorite Jay.
But
You know
I
what I mean?
think that
Like
that's him having fun.
like I like petty chip on shoulder Jay. That's what imaginary players is. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like he's petty, but it's because he's got a little bit of a chip.
You don't think he was having fun on Imaginary Plane?
No, he was, but it's because it comes from a really petty
Yeah.
place of having a chip on your shoulders. That's what I mean. It's like no, he's at his best and having his most fun when he's like tongue in cheek. Like, you know, even when he's talking, like, that's what I'm saying. He's like, yeah, I was walking around with that platinum shit when y'all thought it was silver and shit.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's the guy I want to hear.
Talking his shit. Thumbs
Yeah.
up in the chat, y'all. Thumbs up in the chat. Do you think, since we're talking about some of the OGs, do you think that you think Common's done?
Hasn't it? Yeah. Well, I mean,
I mean-
in what regard? What do you mean?
I mean, do you think
Like
we're
done
gonna get
recording
another album?
another
from
album?
Common?
Yes. Yes.
You think we'll get another Common album?
Yes. Now, whether it's going to be something that we're going to want to listen to consistently is a bigger question at this point. Because you want to know what? He's somebody, Mike, when I be like, oh, such and such ain't made nothing really dope in about the last 10 years. Yeah, he falling on that line, too.
He is kind of getting on that list.
Yeah, he's on that list. No, ain't no getting, Mike. When's the
I
last
mean-
time he made something that was like, I was like, oh, shit.
I think the last album that I really liked from him was Black America Again.
See, that album's just good.
Yeah.
It's just good. The last time he made something where you were like, whoa, was Finding Forever.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long ass time ago.
Finding Forever was like 07.
That's what I'm saying. That's the last time he made something stellar.
Well, no. You didn't like The Dream of the Believer? I think The Dream of the Believer is a good album.
Why do you keep talking about that album like
I
it's
like
something-
that
it's
album.
It's just okay, Mike.
I like The Dream
Black
of the
America again is better than the Dreamer Believer. Dreamer
Huh.
Believer, the beats on there ain't like that, Mike.
Believer. Mad Max with the
And
super chat.
he has spit better on so many more albums than that. I'm sorry.
Ha! Mad Max with the super chat says Steve Nash changed the game. So did Quavo. So just like Jay Short name suggests his shot at Quavo fell short. Kid had a great effort. That is a 2 and 3 bump gonna be. I gotta go back and listen to it. What do y'all think about Coop's takes on Common? Because I thought The Dreamer, the Believer was good. You didn't like Ghetto Dreams with Nas?
One record, an album do not make.
You didn't like Sweet?
Sweet's good.
What about what is that? Cloth?
See how you're struggling?
The Dreamer had Maya Angelou on it
I
before
don't.
she passed away.
I mean, God rest her soul, Mike, but that don't make it great.
What do y'all think Common's last album was? Last great album was, or let's just say good album. I don't know if he's
Last
in
good
that.
album is Black America again, in my
Okay,
opinion. What year
and
was
Black
that?
America
That's
again is like
2012.
I think that's 16 or
Okay,
something.
so
Yeah,
it's, what year we in?
we're in 23.
Yeah, it's been a minute. That's 7 years.
It has been a
That's
minute.
7 years.
I think for people like Common, who we really praise, or at least I praise his longevity. It's really tough to come to grips that he hadn't made anything at his standard in that long. But he's doing a lot of other things. And just like Jay, if he if it is what Irv said, he has given enough to the game.
No, I'm okay with Common being in this place, but it's like,
We just gotta acknowledge him.
well, if you're gonna be active and get activated, I'm gonna treat it like you active, and then with you being active comes expectations because you made Resurrection, One Day It All Makes Sense, like Water for Chocolate, B, Finding Forever, expectations and standards.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's what comes with it. I think that some artists like as they age and become great, try to escape from it. It's like, oh well, I've done all that, and it's like, well, I understand you get held to that then.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying that from a personal perspective. I'm saying like, no, that's what it is from the purview of most people. It's like, no, don't nobody want to. Nobody wants to really see Michael Jordan from the Wizards unless they don't have access to Bulls Michael Jordan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, LeBron can go out there and score 23 points, and people will say it's a bad game when that's a career game for most NBA
And people
players.
have said that about some of his games. It's like, he had 23 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists.
Yeah.
Should have played better. It's like, oh, okay. Like, people would kill for that stat line.
Yeah, when you're an all-time great, the standards are different.
It's very
Jay
different.
Short with the Super Chat says, y'all listen to Mad Max and give Quavo album of the year. 20 years from now, that will be A2HH giving 4 mics to Doggy Style moment. Yeah, we're going to go check it out ourselves. Speaking of people on the brink of retirement, T.I. is actually celebrating the 20th anniversary of trap music, which we'll talk about as well. But do you think that he's really going to retire with this next album?
No.
You don't think so?
I might be biased in saying that. Like, I would just like to. Now, he's somebody, it's like, well, I would like to see him kind of get more active again because I think people are really starting to forget how great he has been.
I think that he is disengaged at this point, and I think that he is at a place where what 007 said, Irv said about Jay, where he feels like he's given enough to the game at this point. I think he actually might sit it down because, like you said, it's taken him a minute to even put this out. This might be one of the largest breaks that he's taken, right?
I think it is the largest break.
Because he's one of those guys that gives you activity. I think this won't be his 10th album. This will be like his 12th. Yeah. This will be his 12th. So yeah, this has to be one of the larger breaks that he's taken. Trap music celebrating 20 years. He's really harping on the fact that, this subgenre was thrust by this effort. Now, I have said before that I feel like the people that I look to when it comes to the origins of the subgenre trap music, and I'm not just talking about, trap music. I guess we have to break it down. Is trap music the subgenre? Is that more about the subject matter or the sound?
I think it's about the movement. I think it created a movement.
But I mean, like when you hear a song and you say,
Like,
that's a trap song or a trap beat.
see that
this is about Sonics, right?
Because trap music isn't that. I mean, Mike, the first time I heard even like Dope Boys and Trap was actually C-Bone on gangsta shit on Stankonia.
Yeah.
Dope Boys in the Trap like to stack the dough.
Yep.
When beef come around, can't let it go. From the front, from the get, I'ma let you know.
First time I heard the word trap in a record was
on
Cujo
National.
on Thought Process.
When I was stuck in the trap.
Yep.
Yeah, going through one of my episodes. Only
Mhm.
God knows. See, that's what I'm saying. So that's been terminology down here
Right.
since our youth, so it's coming to life on trap music. That's why I mean it's a movement of it. It's not like a sound necessarily to me. It never was. That's why when people like say like, I don't make trap songs and stuff like that. It's like, well, we don't either.
Well, it's a sound to me.
Like, cause like
I
it's
think
24's. It's 24's a trap song to you.
exactly.
Is Rubber Band Man a trap song to you? Is
Exactly.
Let's Get Away a trap song to you? Is
Exactly.
Praying for Help a trap song?
To me, Shawty Red is the identifying
Let's ask some questions.
individual, when it comes to trap music. What him and Jeezy were able to put together, I view is that trap sound, just the high powered drums. Even if we go to Tip, I think What's Up, What's Happening, that
I
has
love What's
that
Up, What's
sound.
Happening.
You know
love
what I'm
What's Up, What's
saying?
Happening.
And so the album trap music doesn't have that sound to me. It just kind of takes on that message and mentality. It's similar to like Cool Breeze, East Point's greatest hits, because I feel like Cool Breeze, East Point's greatest hits is kind of the precursor to trap music.
And you've
the
said that
album.
multiple times.
So would I say that that's a trap album per se? Because at that point, then are we going to say that, Ready to Die is a trap album? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right, like,
because if
See,
we're talking
okay.
about the subject matter, is Reasonable Doubt a trap album?
I mean, to be honest with you, it's
So
like
it's got to be the Sonics.
I mean, trap music is definitely Reasonable Doubt inspired.
Yeah,
Like, definitely
For
Reasonable
sure.
Doubt inspired.
for sure.
Like, without a doubt, unequivocally.
Yeah,
In a lot of ways, it is like a reflection. It would be a Southern version of Reasonable Doubt in a lot of ways. You know what I'm
so
saying?
trap music can only be Southern. That's the thing. That's why I'm asking these questions.
No, you're asking valid questions that I don't have clear answers to. Cause
It has to be a sound.
Well,
then.
because I told you, it's like, well, we have our biases too, because it's been indoctrinated in us to have certain biases, even being from down here and being hip hop lovers of all things.
Mm-hmm. Ricker Robert, the super chat, says Common ain't been dope since he started pandering. Yeah. Shout out to Ricker Raw.
Say less.
MM with the super chat says, I just skipped this. He says, if you guys are looking for new acts, may I suggest Vega 7, the Ronin, and MTS Music from Queens. Very new, but both are dope. Okay, we'll check that out. Mad Max with the super chat says, again, Jay Short saying nothing. This is a weak year, so giving him album of the year or saying that he is a contender is not saying anything absurd. Jay Short over the super chat says, did T.I. underachieve? I felt like he did. With all of his ability and access, the sum didn't equal the whole. 36 Chambers with the super chat says the Quavo project was solid, but doesn't even touch the top 5 albums of 2022. We're so desperate for good hip hop this year. People say anything, not album of the year. Do you think that T.I. is an underachiever, like Jay Short said?
No. How can he be?
That's hard to say.
He has too many great albums.
I think he started out as an overachiever.
Definitely,
He
Mike,
got dropped from Arista and came back stronger.
He's been too great, Mike, for too long for that to be conversational. See, this is what I mean about some of the disrespect. It's like, you don't feel that way about 50, and he got more dope albums than 50 do.
It's true.
You don't have a Get Rich or Die Trying, but Tip's catalog's better than 50's catalog, like song for song, album for album.
It is.
You don't say that about 50, do we? We just talk about how 50 just made like $2.something million off this album, but it's like he don't got Tip's catalog, so why would we say that about Tip?
It's true. I guess the thing is, man, like, why do you think that people even feel that way? Why do you think that people don't hold T.I. up to the level that his work demands?
It's that Southern bias coming in and biting us again, Mike. It's real.
Why do you think that Wayne gets held higher than T.I.?
The New York ties, because of, got some ties.
Think so?
Yes.
I have a slight different take on it. I think there's something to that. I think that
very much so. I very much feel that way.
I don't think that T.I. adjusted to social media well.
But also too, like, people are forgetting this. It's like, why is everybody acting like Wayne didn't have a whole like first stage of his career as part of this like big group in hip hop?
And even with that being said, T.I. as a solo artist was bigger than Wayne first.
First,
Yeah.
but Wayne has always been on the radar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like from
I mean, in 2000, let's just say 2003, T.I. was bigger than Wayne, right?
Yes. Yes.
2003, 2004. If we're talking trap music, urban legend, and King. I think T.I.'s bigger than Wayne. It starts changing around Carter 3.
I'm about to say Carter 2 and King came out the same year, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And
And
T.I.'s bigger.
T.I. is bigger. And I can't tell you for certain that King is better than the Carter 2 because that's my favorite Wayne album.
I think it is, but yeah.
What, better than the Carter 2?
Mm-hmm.
No, not so clear cut about that. No.
I'm
Not
pretty
clear. That
cut.
No, it's not.
I think King is T.I.'s most complete piece of work.
Carter 2 is fucking
should we
great,
go down
Mike.
the line?
If you want to, yeah.
Let's see.
We might have to do that.
Yeah, let's see. T.I. King.
I don't know. I'm just saying it's conversational.
No. That's fair. So you got King's back. Then you got Front Back with UGK. You got What You Know. And then you got I'm Talking to You. Then you got Living in the Sky with Jamie Foxx. Then you got Ride With Me. Then you got Why You Wanna. No, man, this album is it. And then you got Get It. And then you got Top Back. Then you got I'm Straight with BG and Young Jock. Undertaker with Young Buck.
That wasn't that great.
Stand Up Guy.
Yeah.
You Know Who.
Yeah.
Good Life with Pharrell and Common.
Yeah.
Hello featuring Governor.
That back half. That's what I'm saying. The back half.
Yeah,
of
the
King,
back half is
the back half of King is not that stellar, Mike. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like
That's fair.
Now the front half of King is better than the. See, that's it's conversational because I feel like the back half of Carter 2 is better than the back half of King. But I'll give you a slight edge over the front half. But
that front half is heavy.
But the beginning of the Carter 2 is The Mob, Fly In, Money on My Mind, Fireman. Money on My Mind might be my favorite Wayne record. Fireman, More Fire. I love More Fire. Best Rapper Alive, Lock and Load with Corrupt. No, you got some shit on there, Mike.
36 Chambers with the super chat says, I associate trap music and the style with Southern hip hop exclusively. Is that an unfair assessment? I can't think of a Midwest, West, or East artist I make that connection to trap music styling with. And I think that's because of the production, 36. I think that's a fair assessment, but that's more about the sonics. And to me, even though T.I.'s album is named trap music, I don't think sonically it takes on what we know of as trap music. So it's kind of hard to say that is the birthplace of it. But one could say, you know what? Birthplace of hip hop was, in the Bronx in 73 in Sedgwick Ave. And Rappers Delight came out and didn't sound anything like what they were doing in there. So I guess that argument could be made too.
But the thing about hip hop is always fresh and new.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is okay based on how we've been indoctrinated to look at hip hop as fresh and new. So you can always come flip them and hit them with the next shit.
Yeah. I will say this. Even if, let's just say hypothetically, trap music is the first trap album. Well,
I just don't like the verbiage.
It didn't feel like on Urban Legend, T.I. doubled down on those sonics or themes either, because then you got Bring 'Em Out. So if he did create trap music, he wasn't the one that blew it up and kept it alive, because that was Gucci and Jeezy that did that heavy lifting.
I'm about to say, I feel like literally the very next year it was Gucci and Jeezy, like the next year, like a year later.
Maybe, let's just say maybe he cracked open that door
I feel like
for them to do it.
Mike, I feel like I was listening to Jeezy maybe 6 months after trap music came out. I feel like I was hearing Jeezy.
Yeah.
Like locally.
And that's no knock on, T.I. or trap music or the legacy of that album, because I think that album changed things. I mean, I've been very vocal on this show to say I saw at the local showcases how everybody went from, screaming at the top of their lungs like, Lil Jon and Pastor Troy to actually trying to rap. And that was the trap music effect, or at least that album T.I. and his effect and what he slowed everything down. He made people here in Atlanta rap again. You know what I'm saying?
Do you feel like they had stopped rapping?
Yeah, from
You
what
feel
I
like it
saw.
became like a chanting, like the
Yeah,
Pastor Troy style?
Yeah, from a
of-
local standpoint, yes.
Okay.
For the guys who were coming up, I mean, and this is from somebody who, at the time, I was in a group where we sounded like Outkast, and nobody wanted to hear what we was doing. People wanted to hear what,
Right.
and T.I. changed that. T.I. made it cool for people in Atlanta to rap again, and I will give him that. And that's an incredible accomplishment, in my opinion. But I don't know about being the father of the subgenre that we call trap music, because I think that's more of a Sonics thing. And I think if a DJ was doing a trap music mix, I don't think any of the songs on that trap music album would fit in that mix, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, that actually does make perfect sense, Mike.
So, Matt Max with the super chat says, so Jay Short says T.I. underachieved, but Coop makes it a NY bias thing. Jay Short is from the West Coast. He is.
Jay Short's West Coast bias, and be the first to tell you he's West Coast bias.
Jay Short says, but underachiever, I think the T.I., I guess he means by underachiever, I think the T.I. had the skills to be easily top 15. But I think he started chasing the hit song a little too much instead of a great song. Think that's a fair assessment?
At what point are they talking? Would that be the T.I. versus T.I.P. time? Because I don't feel like he was chasing hit records before that album, in my opinion. And at some point, most of these artists play the game, Mike. So when you're saying chasing a hit record, you mean it's required of you by your label because you're a commodity?
Yeah.
All right.
They need to get their
All right,
money back.
I'm going to say that again. Is it because you've been great and your label looks at you like a commodity, and therefore you have a budget that shows that you're a commodity, and therefore you have to produce the commodity at a more exponential rate for them to get their money back?
Superstars have to make hits. Mad Max of the Super Chat says T.I. pretty well lucked up here in NY, so it can't be biased from us. I guess he means well liked up here. He said T.I. is pretty well liked up here in NY, so it can't be biased from us. It's more like nobody nationally heard T.I. early than when he blew up, his run wasn't long. Pause. I mean, I guess it. Okay, when did he actually blow up, you would say, to the rest of them, to the rest of the nation? Bring him out? Or Rubber Band Man? I think Rubber Band.
You mean coming out party? Coming out party?
Yeah, what was his coming out party?
Yeah, it's Rubber Band Man.
Okay, and that's on this album.
Puff was in the video.
He was.
That was it.
And Usher and Michael Vick.
No. Puff was in the video. That was the coming out for hip hop.
Yeah, because he said, think shit sweet since you seen me with Puffy. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, all this hate for T.I. or aged like milk comments, which might be valid, but how many rappers have a what you know? T.I. may not have sonically progressed into the modern era, but he had a moment. He had more than a moment, but I agree.
That's what I mean. Even when you're saying that, it's like, oh, he had a moment. It's like, no. Like, let's just run down some of the hits starting from jump. Like, he's got what's on I'm Serious. Peep Hopper #1.
Yeah, what's your name?
What's your name?
I'm Serious. Dope Boys in the Trap.
What's your name? Dope Boys in the Trap. 24s. Rubber Band Man. What's the other one, Mike?
Let's Get Away.
Let's Get Away.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's something else on
Easy
trap
got
music.
played.
Be Easy. That was my shit. Be Easy. And then we got
you got Bring 'Em Out.
Got Bring 'Em Out.
Then you got the one that I think should have been the one is You Don't Know Me.
You Don't Know Me? Hold on, Mike. Didn't he release Motivation or ASAP? Or was that just playing down here?
Nah, he released those.
Motivation, ASAP?
Uh-huh. Niggas try to play me, I'm going to blow them off the map.
I love ASAP. That's what I'm saying.
Then you got records like
then you got
the one with Nelly.
Then you got What You Know, Why You Wanna, Live in the Sky.
Yeah.
Like, no, Mike, he got a, like.
Front, back.
Good Lord. Like, top, back.
Yep. And this is just the first 4 albums.
This is the first 4 albums, Mike. We already at like 15, 16 songs. He has a greatest hits catalog on his first 4 or 5 albums.
And not to mention what he's done on his features.
feature, Mike. If you
His
throw the
feature
feature
game is
if you
super
if
underrated.
you throw his feature game in, Mike, he's on his 4th, 5th album. He's probably got 25 records. It's like, no, you can play all those records.
Yeah, his feature game is super underrated. Jay Short with the super chat says, LP made a great point. When people outside of ATL think of that era, they think of Jeezy, Luda, Chains, and even Ross before T.I.
That's crazy.
T.I. can wrap circles around them.
That's
That's
crazy.
why he is underachiever.
No,
I don't understand why
I don't-
people feel that way.
I'm about to say, people feeling that way doesn't make him an underachiever. That means your perspective might be improper.
Our Legacy with the super chat says, who do you guys rank as the number 1 or 2 trap artist?
What is a trap artist?
Yeah, I need some definitions there. But
I need some evidence of what a trap
just
artist
based
is.
on what I think I know, it's Gucci and Jeezy.
I think that's who people go to when they think about it.
Yeah.
But also, too, like, I mean, and this is not the knock Gucci or Jeezy. Part of why they get tagged with that is because they weren't as versatile as Tip.
Yeah.
That's part of why he didn't get tagged with it.
Exactly. And that's why
he's more versatile.
That's why I don't tag him with it. Because, again, he was able to Bring 'Em Out. He wasn't out here making, stuff that was local.
I mean, see, here's the thing about it, Mike, is that, like,
I don't even think the album was local.
Like, trap music feels very Atlanta. But it's kind of Southern, too, Mike. It's like it's not just Atlanta that he's touching. And it's like, so you can see the expansion and the growth on trap music, too. That's part of what's beautiful about it.
You hear
like,
Texas in it.
You hear all of our little pieces in it. And you can tell. And I love that he bought it up on Rubber Band Man, all the places he was going. I was like, yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah.
In the music. It's like I hear the Atlanta in it, in the core of it. But you could hear him expanding. That's what I mean. That's why I like trap music more than I like 101, Mike. It's more expansive to me.
Yeah. CJ Kid with the super chat says, I first started hearing T.I. here and when Bring 'Em Out was released. See, I assume that was a Swiss produced, made for the East Coast feel like they can get behind them. Yeah, I think that was the whole plan. You get Swiss on the track and you got Jay-Z on the hook. Let's go ahead and get this artist that has all this versatility some East Coast love. So Esquire with the super chat says, what's good, fellas? What's good, Esquire? He says, what's y'all favorite performance from the Hip Hop 50 concert? Nas, Wu, Common, and Wayne were standouts for me. Tip had a dope set, too.
I actually want to watch it again before I make a disclaimer like that because I think everybody did an excellent job. Yeah. And I haven't had the proper time to, like, really sit and watch it in full. I've been watching different people perform in bits and pieces. Sometimes that's our life. But I would like to, like, I'm probably tonight going to sit down and watch it in full, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of tonight, what time we doing this station head? Are we
We're
ready
doing
to
that
get into
tonight?
that?
Are we going to
Today's
do that?
Monday.
I thought we were going to do that during the day or something. I guess we can't do that during the day.
Right. Yeah, that's impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible. Okay.
Yeah, tonight's the night, to quote Redman and Criss Cross, Mike.
Got to get my list and stuff together.
It's
7?
Tribe, Mike. What are you talking about,
I got to
Mike?
get my orders and stuff.
Okay,
together.
you got to pick an order, Mike, but the songs, like, stop playing like you don't know what songs you want to choose already. Like, this is wild. You see what I be putting up with? Mike's like, yeah, I got to put this Tribe list together. It's like, let me just go through these first 3 albums definitely and pull about 18 songs out. Like, what are we doing?
They got a pretty good catalog. James Smith with the super chat says, I also didn't know Biz did the ha ha ha. Check out this bizarre rapper style used by me, the B.I.Z. First, legendary, of course. Yeah, Biggie took rhymes too. Mad Max with the super chat says, you're arguing with a chat that has 90s bias. Yeah, see how it is for the 2010s guys with this T.I. slander. Let's see. Jay Short with the super chat says, y'all defending T.I. like New Yorkers defend Fabulous. Interesting since both underachievers.
Mike,
Just
did you get LPs and Errol and James Smith super chat?
I did not. Go ahead.
I'll get them. Okay, LP hit us with the $5. The Southern bias is probably reverse. Maybe he's not held as high because he was so influenced by Jay and that style, and it sounds dated now. Strong.
I never thought
still not enough to convince me, but strong. Errol Holmes with the 199. Y'all forgot T.I. was fake Black Power for a minute. Okay. Okay. And
He did a little rebranding.
James Smith, I caught Biz's documentary on Showtime. Did you shout that one out? Did you get that one?
No, no,
Okay, he
no,
said, I
no.
caught Biz Marquis' documentary on Showtime last weekend. It's definitely a must see and defines truly rags to riches. Long live Biz. Okay, we need to check that out.
Definitely got to check
We got
that
to
out.
check that out. That's on the
You know,
list.
because Biz was everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like his impact is all over the place. Esquire with the super chat says Ti's mo was to make anthems and display authenticity, whereas Wayne wanted to prove that he was the best rapper. Legendary features / mixtape run from '05 to '08. Yeah, I guess you could say that about Ti making anthems. I felt like Ti made more cohesive
Hold on.
albums than Wayne. But go ahead.
Yes. Yes. I like T.I.'s album
Yeah.
catalog over Wayne's album catalog, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get the Jay Short?
Which one?
He said, y'all defending T.I.?
Yeah, like Fabulous or
Yeah.
something? Yeah,
Okay, I was just making sure. That's terrible, by the way. First of all, I don't appreciate that.
I don't think they're even comparable.
No. Don't make me come for some of your West Coast guys. You got some underachievers over there. What? Okay.
I understand what Jay Short's saying, and I think a lot of that underachieving comes from how high T.I. was at one point, and the
He
fact
was
that
arguably
the people didn't keep him there for whatever reason.
I mean, here's the thing about it. 2000 King's 2005, right?
No, King is 2006, I believe.
6? Isn't that his year?
Yeah.
How many guys can say that?
Yeah. Busta Rhymes can't say that.
That's what I'm saying. No, a lot of
Yeah.
great guys can't say that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who's ever really been the man for the year?
Yeah.
Like, no. That's saying something. It's like he's been that.
He dropped ATL and King.
And that's what I mean about how, well, that's not underachieving.
Yeah.
How is that underachieving when you were the best in the game for a year in this game where it constantly changes and very few people have done it on multiple occasions? And all the guys that have done it on multiple occasions are iconic.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very hard to do.
I think that
and it hasn't happened often.
I think that it looks like he has that level of potential and didn't finish the job. I think his legal troubles really got in the way of his career a multitude of times. But the fact that he was able to recover from his early legal troubles, I think is a victory in itself too. You know?
Possibly.
So yeah, I think that we
think
can look at this a few ways.
It really hurt him to the point that it's like I don't totally want to say that because it could have gone totally differently without the legal trouble. So it's like no, that for me that is part of the story.
It is part of the story. Yeah, you're right. The legal troubles actually added to the story.
Yeah, but it also hurt the career some because it's like really his legal troubles is when Wayne ascended.
Exactly,
and he wasn't there he wasn't there for like that year or so. Where Wayne's ascension happened, and then Wayne's ascension happened, and it's like things weren't the same after that. Because then Ross started ascending, and then Drake started ascending, and it was like, okay, this shit look different.
36 Chambers says, solid point in the chat. How can we say T.I. underachieved when he went multi-platinum? 14 million records sold globally makes him a household name.
I agree. That's what I mean. How can you say underachieving when you were the best rapper in the game for a year? When you've got this album catalog of good, great, and classic albums, when you've got the hit records, when you've got the guest appearances.
When I'm Serious was out, I never thought he would reach this level.
When you got the presence, Mike, he has a presence.
He's on songs like Blurred Line. He's on songs like My Love with Justin Timberlake.
My Love.
He's done it all.
For me, his big coming out party, Mike, is the verse on My Love. Like that's when it's like, oh no, he's one of those guys. It's like it don't matter what you put him on, he's gonna go. Yeah.
I mean, I know Luda is on, but to me, I like T.I.'s verse on, My Love a little bit better. It's just me.
Okay, so T.I. has a slicker delivery than Luda, and so
think so?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I think is that for as row his Luda style is, it doesn't fit with beat wise. The way Tip fits beat-wise with My Love. That's a beat for him to slide on with his vocals and how he knows how to slide and use his words. Like, no, that beat was for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was one of those pairings that it's like, oh, no, I love that pairing because of how the record sounds beat-wise, like the production of it. It's like, no, that's the beat that you let Tip slide on a Justin Timberlake record on.
I think T.I.'s flow is very underrated, and I think he really found his flow on trap music. That's why this album is super important to me with his legacy, because on I'm Serious, I feel like he was still trying to find himself himself as a lyricist and
Right.
as a MC, and his flow was kind of all over the place. Outside of that era, I've never heard T.I. sound uncomfortable on the record. You know what I'm saying? Like his flow was always so in pocket, and no matter what the beat sounded like, he was gonna find out a way to make it work for him. Jay Short with the super chat says, "I'll say it for you, Coop. Corrupt underachieved too. So did Exhibit.
There we go.
So did TDE.
Yep.
It happened.
Yep. As long as you
Esquire.
understand it's been happening on your coast for a long time. I'd like to thank you for
Esquire with the
highlighting some
super
of the
chat.
highlights.
Esquire with the super chat says T.I. and Wayne are perceived differently due to styles and branding. T.I. was many people's favorite, but many bought into the best rapper alive hype and ranked Wayne ahead of Nas and Jay during his prime. I will give Wayne that. Where T.I. coined himself the king of the South very early and people start calling him that, Wayne took it a step above and said best rapper alive, and people thought that of him.
He had a year.
What's Wayne's run really look like? We know that his career spans, decades because of the things he's been a part of. But where would you say is prime Wayne? What years?
From the time the Carter 2 came out until the Carter 4 came out is his prime. Carter 2 through 4.
2 through 4.
And
that's
everything in between.
Is that a 3 or 4 year period?
Feels longer than that. When did the Carter 4
2
come
and
out?
4?
Yeah. Because 2 is 06. When is Carter 4?
I feel like 4 is like 09, 010, something like that. I'm seeing 05 to
Carter
10.
4 came out in 2011.
Okay.
So yeah, 06 to 11. Yeah.
I think that's pretty strong.
Yeah.
That's
That was-
5 years.
Yeah, that's it. That's the run. In my opinion. I mean, am I wrong? Like, because really after the Carter 4, it's like, well, what? As far as like album or records that you would say is like, oh no, that's Wayne. Like, peak. Yeah.
Rich as Fuck was dope. That was on I'm Not a
Okay.
Human Being too, but
Okay.
again, that's one song.
Right.
Not-
That
yeah.
album was the album was just solid. It
Yeah.
was solid. I'm not even gonna like give it
I
the
think
okay.
the
It was
Wayne
good.
buzz was kind of leveling out. But again,
Mike,
that's what hip hop does.
5 years.
That's a great run
in
of hip
This
hop.
game is epic.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like, no, if you can run like that for 5 years in this game, it's like, no, that's epic.
What does T.I.'s run look like?
When the trap music come out,
Well, that was 03.
when the King come out,
That was 06.
that to me is the bulk of it.
But then you got Paper Trail.
When is Paper Trail?
Paper Trail is Swagger Like Us. So it's like
No.
09, 10 or something like that.
Shoot, we didn't even cover the songs from Paper Trail. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you Paper Trail. I love
Yeah.
Paper Trail.
Paper Trail got a lot
I
on it.
don't-
A lot of people will tell you that's their favorite album.
Okay, I was about to say, I don't know how people outside of Atlanta feel about Paper Trail. I know people inside of Atlanta, Mike, don't necessarily love Paper Trail like that.
People outside of Atlanta really love Paper Trail. That's
Paper
kinda
Trail's a
like
really
his-
dope album. 56 bars,
Yeah.
Illy. I know whatever you like probably threw people for a loop, but that's what I mean. It's like, no, he's a hit maker.
Mm-hmm.
He does all the things.
And I never thought he would be a hit maker.
What up was happening?
To be honest with you, like I never thought T.I. would be a hit maker.
I seen Mike. That was the part about him where I was like, okay, he different because he know how to make a different type of hit
Mm-hmm.
than the guys that come out from around here. Like, yeah,
Oral with the super chat says, I wasn't a Tip fan, but his run was a real 5 years. Okay.
Live Your Life is on Paper Trail.
Yep.
Dead and Gone
Yep.
is on there. And like, no, he got a lot of big stuff on there. I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll give you
LP with the super chat says Southern fans don't like seeing their trap artists go pop. They love them until they go too far above ground. They left him for Gucci, Boosie, and them.
that. Swing Your Rag with Swiss, even though I know you don't like it. That was
Wasn't
a banger.
big fan of that.
So Mike, like Paper Trail is 2008. So I would tell you 03 to 08, another 5-year run. That's
And
great.
I think that's a great run.
That means you're great. Like when you can do that for 5 years.
Jonathan Coleman with the super chat says, what about Chingy? What do you mean? Is he on trap music or something?
Like, what are we talking about?
Chingy made some hits.
What are we doing?
Yeah, what about Chingy?
What are
You're
we
gonna
doing?
have to
I'm lost.
expound upon that statement. But yeah, trap music turns 20 years old, and
What's your favorite song?
I'm just doing my job. It's one of his best songs.
Shoot. Is that your favorite song on there?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just doing my job.
Off the top of my head, I'm just doing my job.
I gotta go look at the track listing again because I really think
Kanye got something different out of Ti.
I knew you were gonna say that.
He did.
Say bullshit. You
I'm
wanna know
just
what?
doing my job is a great record.
It is, Mike. You wanna know what? I always loved Look What I Got.
Yeah. Look what I got, man.
Look What I Got was always my shit. And how about this, Mike? It was a moment when 24s came out
Oh, it was.
down here. It's like part of me, it's like that's not my favorite song, but I was in the city and I remember the moment and what it was like everywhere. And so it's hard not to be attached to that record if you're down here.
I'm in the drop top Chevy with the roof wide open.
And
I like
I've been
Bezel a lot.
drinking, I've been smoking, riding down 285, but I'm focused.
It's funny, man. I was looking at one of them old like Smack style DVDs that the Ti was on back in the day. During this whole run.
He's really a rapper's rapper in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Mike. That's why I don't like the slight and the slick talk that people be giving him.
Because
It's like,
he
no,
was
he's a
out there
rapper's
in the
rapper.
streets, man. Like he was out
That's what
there
I mean.
with
He's
the
a rapper's
people
rapper.
and
Like
all that.
this is what I mean. He's a rapper's rapper. He's a street dude. He knows how to make the street record. He knows how to make the hit record. He knows
Yeah.
how to make the club record. He can spit bars with the best of them. Swagger Like Us is evidence of that.
Right.
He can spit with anybody in their peak damn near. It's like, no, he does. He's literally a rapper's rapper, and people act like he's not. He's more of a rapper's rapper to me, like in totality, than Wayne and Ross and Game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree
Like
with
in
that.
totality, it's like if I was taking a guy and I had to like tote him around and take him everywhere, it's like, no, I'm taking T.I. over those guys. I am.
Funny part though, it was Toon. Toon was like, yo, I ain't really feeling 24s like that, but the kids like it. Well, I'm 30 something years old or whatever he said. It was like, so I'm running with it.
Right.
I was like, you gotta listen to the kids. Jay Short with the super chat says, is Ross the greatest overachiever in the South? If you told me in 05 that he would have a top 5 catalog, I would have said that you were crazy. He maximized on his abilities.
I mean, I think he might be top 5 overachiever in history of rap.
Yeah.
I'll tell you personally, early on, I wasn't the biggest fan of his. I'll tell you the record that probably changed it for me. Which Maybach is it with Kanye and Wayne on it?
That's
that
two? Yeah.
That's when I started looking at him like, hold the fuck on. It's like, oh no,
Deeper Than Rap changed things.
He can, like, I mean, because his verse, because that's a peak Kanye and a peak Wayne. It's like, no, his verse, he's right there with him. And I was like, oh, I didn't know he could do that.
I wonder what no one's ever asked Ross this, but I want to know, like, where he turned the corner. Because I feel
right
like
there, that's where, because I like, to me, everything before that verse, he was just an average rapper with above average intangibles and connections. But from the time I heard that verse, I was like, I need to start listening to his shit. And then it's like, boom, boom. And by the time God Forgives and I Don't came out, I was like, this motherfucker's great. It's like, he's great. Like, God Forgives and I Don't was that moment for me.
Yeah,
I was
he was
like,
clicking.
I was like, man, I'm like, this guy's going to end up being all-time great. I'm like, this is great. I was like, it's very, the ascension of it is very Fat Joe-like, but beyond that.
Yeah.
It's beyond it's beyond Fat Joe's improvement. And that was always one of the improvements that I always looked at. It's like, oh man, look how much better he got.
Esquire with the super chat says, Carter was 04, Carter 2 was 05. Then he proceeded to drop Dedication 1 and 2. Drought 3, Drought is over 4. The Leak, Carter 3, No Ceiling. Damn, Sorry for the Wait. And the Carter 4, while also being the most in-demand feature by a long shot.
No, he's
Man, he put in work.
No, see, this is what I'm talking about. The run is about the quality, not about how much of it. So I get what you're saying. It ain't about that.
Yeah.
You can drop 2 albums or 3 albums in 5 years and not do anything else and still be the same thing that Wayne was in that 5-year period. So I don't want to make it about the material unless you want to say that Wayne's work ethic is, rivaling like a Tupac or as we're finding out like a Nas in terms of just how, the speed and the efficiency with which he works. It's like we can have that conversation, but that don't really got nothing to do with the run because the songs and the quality and the stature and the impact is what the run is really made of. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can make, Run, Look at his run. His run really only got one great album attached to it, but it's damn sure a run now, ain't it?
Oh yeah, it is. The run is official. Man, I guess we need to talk about this Tribe and Wu thing before we get out of here.
Yeah. Well, first of all, what time are we doing it? What works for you?
What's gonna work for me today? Maybe like 7 or 8, I'm thinking.
Okay.
Something like that. What works for you?
I can try to make that work.
I'm going first.
Yeah, you won the toss.
This is a battle for, I guess, that number 1 spot in the group conversation, right?
Along with Outkast.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this would be the fight I guess most of your East Coasters would probably pick. Like I think for most East Coast lovers of hip hop who wave the flag, these are the two groups that they plant their flag on the most.
Now,
for good reason.
I can't play Vibrant Thing.
No. But I can't play Purple Tape, Liquid Swords, Return to Cal, Iron Man, Supreme, Bulletproof, Purple Tape 2.
What a group.
I can't even play The Pillage, Mike.
Ha.
I mean, the Pillage songs wouldn't make it anyway, but I can't.
Esquire with the super chat says, I'm with you on the quality over quantity convo as it pertains to the Carter 3 and 4, but the Carter 2 and all the mixtapes I listed, they held up as classics.
Classics is strong, Esquire, but I hear you. Keep fighting the case.
Well, I mean, mixtapes, I think we have to include mixtapes in people's catalogs now. And, it advantages a certain era and disadvantages another.
Hate it for you.
Yeah, the people in the 80s, they didn't really have the access to the mixtapes. Can you imagine if Kane would have been able to have mixtapes under his belt?
A lot of those guys.
Yeah, man. A Rakim mixtape.
What about a Cool G rap mixtape, Mike, floating around New York?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, I don't want it with you. Don't want it with Wu. What's wrong with me? Tribe is legendary, but don't mistake thinking that they can take that number 1 spot. And this is from somebody, 36 Chambers. I get you.
I did my list so fast, Mike. It's crazy.
Your list is done?
Yeah. See, okay, so I think you pick sets and pick order, and I don't do that. Like, I really do go live with it, and so I'll have a selections of songs, and depending on the tone you set, lets me know how I'm gonna move or where I need to slide. You know what I'm saying?
Our respond game is normally better than our.
Yeah. How about this?
The return.
I tend to star anywhere from about 3 to 7 records where it's like I'm playing those. I just don't know when I'm playing them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Especially when you got something like this. It's like, oh no, I can hit you with a lot of stuff. Because here's what I like about their catalog. It's like, well, I don't have to end it with Cream.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Right. And so with some of
I don't know what I'm gonna end it with.
Right. With some of the ones that we do, it's like, oh no, we know what's coming at the end.
Yeah, I have an idea what I'm gonna
Right, like
end
when if we do a T.I. one, it's like, no, what you know is the closer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What you know is the closer. It's like, no, with Wu-Tang and Tribe, it's like, it's not like that. It's like, could close with anything. So I could give you Cream as a rebuttal to something that you play like in the first round if I feel like it, and I'm totally comfortable with it because of how the catalog looks.
Well, the fans would definitely not love that, but if you gotta do what you gotta do.
Nobody asked them.
Mad Max with the super chat says, just like Jeff Van said about basketball, hip hop is a game about runs. This catalog talk is a quality talk, ain't it? Hip hop is a game of runs. What you did, when you did it, and when you had that moment is the most important. Mitch with the super chat says, I think that Wu would beat Tribe if you include the solo albums, but if it's just group work, I think Tribe got him. Well, I hope I won't disappoint. Jay Short with the super chat says, why did Public Enemy get disqualified from the GOAT group conversation? They have the greatest hits outside of It Takes a Nation of Millions. Listen, I'm cool with Public Enemy being that number 1 spot too. I mean, are you willing to take Public Enemy versus Cass?
Who you taking?
I'm taking Public Enemy. What are you talking about?
That's cool. I'll take Cass.
Okay.
Yeah. You're not gonna do Cass like that.
No, don't make it sound like I'm doing Cass like
you just
that.
took
I'm just
Enemy,
a Public Enemy fan
just took
too.
Public
like,
Enemy so quickly.
Oh no, I want
Let's
to
go.
represent Public Enemy.
Okay, that's fine. I'll take
I'm
Cass.
the epitome, a Public Enemy. Yeah,
So we can do Outcast and Public Enemy next. Is that what we're doing?
yeah, I think we're doing that, and I guess the winner of these two would kind of finagle it and who should be that top four, because I think everybody's clear. That's the top four, right?
Right. Right. I think so.
Yeah.
Like those are the four that I'm picking. De La's not notarized enough. NWA doesn't have enough.
Yeah.
EPMD, for as great as they are in a lot of people's minds, it's not this level, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Mob Deep.
Mob Deep, 8 Ball and MJG,
Yeah, UGK.
3-6.
Yeah, I think these are the
Yeah,
four.
these are the four.
I mean, Billboard had Run DMC at
Bone, Run DMC.
4. I like Run DMC's chances in a matchup like this, but if we really break things down just based on eras,
I don't think it's
there's a
Run.
lot of things that they kind of miss in relation to their counterparts that came after them.
They're great forefathers. Excellent,
Incredible.
excellent building blocks on which to build a hip hop foundation,
And they did that.
and nothing wrong with that.
And they're always going to
Yeah.
be remembered
right.
for that.
I mean, so, the MVP trophy is called the Bill Russell Award.
Hmm.
And there's once upon a time, I know people don't believe this, there's once upon a time where Bill Russell was considered, not by us, but by his peers, to be the greatest basketball player who ever lived. Well, Mike, people came along and they changed that.
Yeah.
Magic changed that because he's usually ranked higher than Bill Russell. Mike changed that because he's usually ranked higher than Bill Russell. A lot of people think Kareem's better than Bill Russell. A lot of people think Larry Bird's better than Bill Russell. You get what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
doesn't take anything away from what Bill Russell did.
Yeah. Times change. Raw with the
Things change.
super chat says, why do y'all hold mixtapes at such a low standard? Clue tapes was life, and I'm not from New York.
No, I don't think we hold them to a low standard, but it's like, I mean, quite frankly, the bar is to make a great album.
Yeah.
Because it's harder to make a great album than it's harder to make a great mixtape. Mike, we've had a lot of Atlanta.
I think the great albums are much better than the great mixtapes,
They
right?
are, but Mike, a lot of people have made great mixtapes in this city that have never seen the light of day outside of this city. It's like, I'm not saying it's like an easy thing to pull off, but it's not the difficulty of making a classic album. It's not.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, is there anything else we got to cover? Because
I think
No,
we're
we
good.
got
I know you wanted to talk about that J Electronica verse. We're going to get into that Wednesday.
I think we should get into that Wednesday. It takes a lot of examination. I mean, we kind of, glossed through it. I think Jay Electronica, period, is such a polarizing figure in his generation.
That's an underachiever.
Yeah.
That's an underachiever. That's why when you're calling T.I. an underachiever and Jay Electronica's floating around, it's like, no. That's why I was like, no, that's insulting to do that.
Because he has all the potential, and especially at the time when Exhibit C dropped, there was literally nothing in the way. Everybody was waiting on the next guy, and he sounded like the next guy. I've been on record to say I think I'd be hard-pressed to say that Cole or Kendrick have a better song than Exhibit C.
Like, you can say Jadakiss underachieved, Mike.
That, you know what? Looking at that now, it's kind of hard to say that. I think Jada just didn't make the album that we wanted him to make.
And let me tell you what comes with that, Mike. Well, when people are looking at you, not because you're saying it, but when they're looking at you like you can be top 5.
Yeah.
You don't end up being top 5. You were somewhere between 10 to 15. Yes, that can still be called underachieving. So that album for him matters because, Mike, you remember his buzz. He was literally getting tagged in frame like he was going to be lined up next to Big J and Nas. Now, am I wrong?
No, you're right.
Did it happen?
No.
That's underachieving.
Is Kiss the Game Goodbye better than we once thought it was?
I always thought it was a really dope album, but I always still felt like this. But I still felt like this too. Oh no, that's not Big J or Nas level too.
You're right.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. One of the
or
things
X.
Yeah.
X is his contemporary and Rough Riders at the time.
And I'd take X over Kiss.
Of course.
And here's the thing with that. It was show discipline when I realized it wasn't going to happen for him. So I heard it early in the album because Jada's Got a Gun. First of all, that's not a great album starter.
Mm-hmm.
The album did get progressively better, but the next song is a record with Nas, Show Discipline. Nas just so supremely, and I'm not saying this because I'm thinking he needs to go listen to that verse that Nas spit on there and go listen to Jada's verse. It's like, oh no, he's never gonna be that. It's like, okay, because that's Nas post Nostradamus, where supposedly it was might be over, and I'm like, oh no, he's out rapping him on Show Discipline, and this is supposed to be your peak and your prime and your come out moment. I did not love that shit for him.
What do you think about Jadakiss in comparison to a Redman or Method Man?
I have him right there with them, but he should be ahead of them. That's my point. It's like
Redman got solo albums though.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like he's there with. I have him and Meth. I believe when I did the top New Yorkers list, Mike, I literally have them right next to each other for very, very similar reasons. Because I do look at both of those guys. It's like, well, you should be like my 6 or 7,
right.
not my 12 or 13. I look at them that way straight up.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reverence that comes with it. That's why I mean, it's just like, no, there's expectations.
Yeah. No, that's facts.
Yeah.
Aral with the super chat says 50, Styles P, Jada, and Fab are there on mixtapes. My 3 on mixtapes, I think he meant. Well, Fab has the mixtape game because of the Soul Tape series, but we got to ask ourselves, like, why didn't that translate to his album making? And I think Real Talk is probably his best album. I know people said Loso's Way, but
how about this? Do you think either one of those albums is better than Kiss the Game Goodbye? Because I don't.
I don't. No.
Then that's not enough for him either. That's what I've always said about him. It's not a disrespect to him. It's just like when I keep on saying, it's like, no, I think you're talking about Kiss. This is what I'm talking about. It's like, well, yeah, Kiss mixtape level and Fab's mixtape level, same. One guy's a slightly better album maker. That's Kiss. And we get on him about not having made the album.
No, you're right.
Hello.
Mad Max with the super chat says Jada is way better than Meth, and he better than Red. At least in NY, nobody compares that.
Well, I hate to be the one to break it to you, Mad Max. Hip-hop's bigger than New York. And, yeah, people outside have those types of conversations.
I don't think that Jada would beat Method Man in the verses.
I don't either.
I don't.
If I'm not mistaken, I put Meth right ahead of Jada because it's like, oh, no, he not fading Meth like.
And I think bar for bar, Meth is nicer than Jada, in my opinion.
All the things considered, yes, bar for bar, not so certain about that. But here's what I will tell you, Mike. It's like, think about this. I'm not sure if Kiss the Game Goodbye is better than Tikal when I go back and listen to Tikal now. Jadakiss don't have no Bring the Pain, and he damn sure don't have an I'll Be There
Now
for
that
you.
he doesn't have.
He don't have no Bring the Pain. He don't have no I'll Be There for you. So if anybody in New York is sitting running here around thinking like Kiss got it over Meth, it's like,
and his hook game is nowhere near Method Man.
Meth's hook game still top 3 to 5 all time.
Yeah.
His voice is still top 3 to 5 all time. His delivery is still top 5 all time. It's like, so when you saying that like Kiss is better than Meth, it's like where?
Like where exactly?
Where exactly?
Yeah.
Because Meth has a #1 hit on his shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many rappers got #1 hits, Mike? Not hits, a song that went #1.
I think his featured verses are better than Jada's.
I don't know about that. Jada's versus features. How about this? Meth's verse features are more impactful to the culture of hip-hop than Kiss's are, as in more memorable.
Where's Jada's shadowboxing feature?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. But Jada has more of those in spades. He just doesn't have a shadowboxing. He doesn't have an ice cream hook. He doesn't have those things. He doesn't have the how high with another contemporary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Method Man's better, man. It's what it is.
I put him ahead for a reason, Mike.
Yeah, Jay Short with the super chat says, that back end of Kiss the Gang Goodbye was awful, and those Re-Up Gang mixtapes were fire.
I was thinking about Re-Up Gang. I was thinking about the mixtapes. That's part of why I hold Pusha T high too, Mike. I'm like, no, you can do everything. You make great group work, great mixtape work. Hold on, think about this. Great group mixtape work, great solo mixtape work, great group work, great solo work. And it's like people think that I'm overrating him. It's like, no, you're underrating and undervaluing the catalog as a whole any way you want to like look at the spectrum.
Hey, my joint's about to die. I think we need to get up out of here.
Mine? I got 7%. It's time to fade.
Mad Max with the super chat says, Red and Meth don't have to battle Jada. He watched 50. I mean, you think 50 better than Method Man too? I don't know about that.
In a vacuum, no.
No.
But Get Rich or Die Trying is really special. See, that's
the thing
really
about special.
Okay, see, here's what happens when you're a big hit. First of all, 50 is a better hit maker than Meth. Like overall. He is comparable to Meth hook-wise, and then he has Get Rich or Die Trying. That's why that album is so important, because if Meth has something comparable to Get Rich or Die Trying in the solo catalog, it would literally be laughable to say that.
Yeah.
But because he doesn't, it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
Method Man's in the Wu-Tang too. We gotta remember that.
That's not fair to everybody else. Man.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. We're gonna keep y'all updated on the station head, and so we can do that and really get the people riled up, get
let's send the
some
flyer out on
engagement.
YouTube and on Twitter.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Like an appropriate time. And
Exactly.
and we'll make it flex.
Yeah, and then we're gonna holler at y'all on Wednesday. Well, shit, we're gonna holler at you tonight. Then we're gonna holler at y'all on Wednesday again. And yeah, hit like and subscribe.
Yep.
Tell a friend to tell a
The
friend.
Love interviews are coming. Nick Love Jesse, Love the Genius Wednesday 6:30.
Yep. All right, we out of here.